Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. Thank you for watching and subscribing to us on YouTube, for tuning into Google Play or to iTunes. The very first show we did, and this is show 31, the very first show this man was on, and we're delighted to have him back, Brad Cox, who is Owendale, getting ready for the Travers this weekend. Owendale coming off an Ohio Derby win, was third in the Preakness, and seems poised for a big showing at Saratoga. Brad, thanks for coming back.
Good morning, Kenny. Thanks for having me again.
So much has changed since we talked, hasn't it?
Yeah.
30 weeks ago.
30 weeks ago, yeah. That's gives you plenty time to change in the horse business for sure.
And how about Owendale and the progress he's made? Because he looks like that kind of horse that just gets better.
Well, he's a lot better than he was 30 weeks ago. I can tell you that. He's really moved forward over. He had a great winter, but he's really moved forward this spring. Ever since we shipped him out of the fairgrounds down to up to Churchill this spring, he's just really blossomed and moved forward as a 3-year-old. And we always thought that he was a big, strong horse, and we always thought as he got older and some racing under his belt, he would improve, and that's definitely been the case this spring. And we're excited about him on Saturday. He's coming into this race as well as I think he can. He's going to fly out of Churchill this morning, and he's going to have an opportunity to gallop over the main track at Saratoga for 3 days. We'll school him on Thursday and Friday, and we're excited about him. He's coming into the race in great shape.
Brad, when does a horse, not just Owendale, but other horses you have, is there that moment? Does it just sort of happen where it be, like training, or you just see him in the barn where you go, wow, and just like overnight it seems they popped up, or is it a gradual process with most of them?
Lots of times it's a gradual process. There's always those glimpses, of the mornings, obviously in the workouts where they have talent. And, Owendale in particular is one we always thought had talent. We thought he was a horse that would break his maiden a little bit quicker than he did. We always knew he had talent. And, like I said, he was a little bit in and out, very immature. I think mentally, physically, like I said, he's a big, strong horse. But mentally, he's really just picked it up. Throughout the winter, he started really figuring things out and has moved forward. In like as far as training now, I mean, he's very forward. He puts a lot into his gallops, his works, and he lets you know when he's ready to run. And like I said, I think he's set up for a big effort on Saturday.
I like that you brought up the mental aspect. I think sometimes people forget horses are like kids in a way, aren't they? Like the high school guy going into college. You got to kind of realize that you can compete with everybody else at one time and get that confidence. I would imagine it's the same with a horse as it is with a human.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, especially with the colts. The colts, it does seem to take them a little while to come around, more so maybe than the fillies. The fillies seem to be a little more focused and forward on what's going on, but the colts definitely take some time to come around. Now, obviously, not all of them are the same, but in this colt case, it took him a while mentally to figure things out. And, some of them take a race or two. I kind of feel like it took this horse, 4 or 5 starts to really put it together and figure things out.
That's just like us guys in high school, isn't it? The girls are always ahead of us.
No doubt. Links ahead.
They always mature.
Maybe even a furlong or a quarter mile in front of us.
Yeah, in my case, they'd already lapped the track. I'm just sitting there going, I don't know. As far as now going into a big race like this, is this your first Travers?
It is, yeah. This is a big race for us. And
so, as we talked about, and you're one of the rising stars in the business. Not that you already haven't arrived, Brad, by the way. But, your stable keeps getting better. We're going to talk about some of your other stars in a minute. But what's it like for you to be coming into this scene now in what I think is the biggest race, obviously, since the Triple Crown for 3-year-olds and, moving forward from there with Owendale?
Well, it's huge for us. I mean, this is where you want to be. Saratoga's great racing, and be able to have horses that compete in these grade ones at Saratoga, and it's what you work for. It's what you get up every day and dream of. And very fortunate to be blessed with a great crew and support from clients that give us opportunity with nice horses. And this is what I'm after. Grade 1 horses, and this is a very special race. It's the Midsummer Derby, and like you said, I think it's going to play a role in Champion 3-year-old as well. It's a big race, and I feel like it's somewhat of a wide open race. I mean, I think Maximum Security's the favorite for the Eclipse right now. But if somebody steps up and runs a big race here on Saturday and can go on and knock out another race or two or grade one at some point this year, they could very easily be in the running for a champion 3-year-old.
No, I totally agree. We were talking about that earlier. And I believe I'm going to overlook somebody, but I'm looking at like Tacitus and Code of Honor and Mucho Gusto and Everfast. I think this is the best field of 3-year-olds since going back to one of the Triple Crown races. Personally, I think it's a better field than they've had for the Haskell or some other race.
Yeah, I think it sounds like we're going to get 12 enter. So I think from top to bottom, it's there. I don't really think there's a standout. There's no one scared of anyone. It's a very solid group of horses and probably the deepest race run since the Derby, probably, in my opinion.
No, I think that's exactly right. You have to go all the way back to the first Saturday in May to find this kind of talent, and Owendale fits right in. That was a nice race at Ohio Derby for him.
It was, and honestly, I don't think he handled the track that well. I think he won that race on class, and Florent did a good job of finding the best part of the track that day to get him down the lane and get him to the wire first. But he did come out of the race in great shape. I like the idea of giving him the time between that race and the Travers. We've had nearly 2 months, and I only think it's a positive with him. I thought one of his best races was the Lexington in April, and we had nearly 2 months leading up to that race. So, he's a horse that his figures stack up with the rest of these horses, and I think with a good trip, he'll be there.
If it's a perfect race for him, you can map it out right now. What does Owendale do to win the Travers?
Well, I think there's going to be some speed in there, just kind of based off of who they're saying is running and just kind of looking at the PPs. I think just break kind of, maybe lay mid-pack somewhere in there. Obviously, you have to get a clean trip, maybe save a little ground and, pop out and hopefully you can run them down. 1.25 miles is a long way here at Saratoga. It's a deep, tiring track, but he's a fit racehorse, so I think he can handle it.
And when Brad Cox was growing up and was going to be a trainer, when did you know you were going to be a trainer?
I guess the day I ran my first horse or won my first race. But no, I don't know. Early on, I had dreams of, making a living in the horse business. I didn't know exactly what or how I was going to do that. And, I think probably in high school I decided, I think this is something I'm going to try to pursue. And it's been very good to me.
I was going to say, I imagine that, like any of us that have dreams of whatever we want to go in, you look at races like being in the Travers or being in a Triple Crown race, and you've done it relatively early in your career. I mean, this is a great start.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And it was an unbelievable experience going to Pimlico for the Preakness. We had 2 starters in the Preakness with Owendale finishing 3rd and Warriors Charge, a really game effort to be 4th, but that was a huge highlight for us as a stable and something obviously we're wanting to compete in those races year in, year out.
Fans like to talk about it, media likes to talk and write about it. How's this 3-year-old crop? They say that every year. I mean, they say it no matter how the Triple Crown shakes out. Are they strong enough? Is this a strong year? How does it look? Do trainers even think like that? I mean, you're going into the race, you're going to have to beat probably, a Baffert horse or a McGahee horse or a Mott horse along the way out there to win this thing this weekend, Brad. I mean, do you even think about how good's this field, or is it just about your horse?
Well, you think about how good the field is as a crop, as the crop as a whole. No, yeah. I mean, I don't really get caught up. And, I only think time will tell how good the crop is, what some of these horses go on to do as far as stallions and, stuff. So I think sometimes you have to let things play out over the years to kind of look back and say, hey, that was a really good crop of horses. I mean, we don't know what'll happen with some of these 3-year-olds moving forward as 4- and 5-year-olds and all these great races throughout the world now with the Pegasus World Cup, the Saudi Cup, the Dubai World Cup. So, time will tell how good a crop this is. And as far as my personal opinion on how everyone else is doing coming into the race, I don't pay too much attention to anyone else and what they're doing. Just trying to prepare our horse and, cross every T and dot every I leading up to the Travers on Saturday. And I feel like, things are going the right direction for us. We're talking with Brad Cox, who has Owendale running in the Travers.
already has had a big win at Saratoga this summer with, I always get this wrong, Covfefe, I say.
Close enough.
Or Covfefe. It's based on a text, right, that President Trump sent out. He misspelled the word.
Yes, yeah. I call her Covfefe.
Okay, so Covfefe, I call her really fast and talented.
That's what I like to call her.
Yeah, and she won the test and beat Serengeti Empress, among others. And every time I've seen her, I've just been really impressed with her. So you got a star 3-year-old colt and a 3-year-old filly star, I think.
Yeah, she is a star. She's a very, very gifted filly with a ton of speed, and she's one that she got it from the get-go. She's one that I can remember the first time we breezed her at Keeneland in her 2-year-old spring of her 2-year-old year, which just displayed a unbelievable amount of talent and speed, and knew from the get-go that she was a special filly, and she's proved that. And the goal to start the year was to get her to the test, and it worked out really well. It's just lots of times in this business, anybody that's dealt with these horses know it's incredibly hard to map out a plan, especially a long-term plan, and execute it, just because there's so many setbacks. But this is a very, very special filly, and talent, and the goal is to try to get her to the Breeders' Cup now, and hopefully that'll happen here in a couple months.
Do you think about what the next race for her is going to be to lead up to the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah. We shipped her back to Churchill last week. She came out of the test in great shape. She'll work this coming weekend. It'll be her first work at post-test, and we're pointing that'll give her 4 works. And we're leading up to the Dogwood at Churchill. It's an ungraded event, but it's a 3-year-old filly race that's 7/8 there at Churchill. She has experience there. She likes the track as her home, and we just think like trying to get to the Breeders' Cup, that race makes the most sense. Just the timing, the distance, straight 3-year-old fillies. I think it'd be a great spot for her, and that's our plan right now.
And I would guess, as we talked about the fillies sometimes maturing a little quicker than the colts, you said that you saw in Covfefe that she was kind of going to be good as a 2-year-old, or had that potential, certainly. Right.
She showed us that in her works, and then obviously with her breaking her maiden first time out at Churchill by 9, and then being 4-5 in the Frisette. 3 weeks later, I think she may have bounced a little bit, and she came out of that race with a minor setback that just needed some time. So she had the 2 starts as a 2-year-old, and but very fast filly, a lot of talent, and just a very special filly, and super, super fast.
And it's kind of nice, isn't it, to have 2 3-year-olds like this? Wow.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's been good. Covfefe's, we do feel like she's a 1-turn horse, and we'll probably keep her around 1 turn throughout her career, but she's very special.
Now, talk about special. The update on Monomoy Girl, the distaff winner last year, just beautiful to watch her. Had some colic issues in the spring. You talked about setbacks. You've had to deal with that. What's the progress on Monomoy Girl right now, the champion from last year?
She's doing fantastic. She's really doing well. She breezed this past Saturday at Churchill, come out of it in great shape. She'll breeze again this weekend. She went a half this weekend. I think the clocker had her in 48-3. We had her in 49, galloped out well. Like I said, come out of it in good shape. So, she looks tremendous. I mean, she couldn't look any better. She looks as well as she's ever looked, and moving great. And, just now just trying to build her fitness up, and, hopefully get her to a race in a month and a half, something like that. Got a couple races we're looking at, maybe like the Zenyatta at Santa Anita, or the Spinster at Keeneland. It is a little bit of a tough year, or tough time of year, trying to get a mare like that back to the races. As far as the race schedule, there's not a lot of options out there. Can maybe look at the Beldame as well at Belmont. But we've got some races picked out. We're not zeroing in on anything right now. We'll let her tell us, but everything is moving forward and positive and in the right direction right now. So I'm very pleased with where she is, and the main thing is she's happy, she's healthy, and she's moving great.
Yeah, and then Brad, you have confidence that you think that she could be out there to defend her title at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup?
It's possible, and that's one reason why I'm kind of looking at the Zenyatta the end of September, just for that fact that I do like that race is a 1.16 miles. So that's something that obviously we'd have to come back, I believe, in 4 or 5 weeks, and either stay out there or go out there again. That'll be things that ultimately she'll tell us. She'll let us know what she's willing or up to doing, and kind of go from there.
We talk about all the successes and, the happiness when you win like the Ohio Derby or you win the test and last year the distaff and all. And the other side, the trainers, that's the toughest thing to deal with, I think, is any kind of injury or any kind of illness or setback. What's it been like you dealing with Monomoy Girl during this time to try to get her fit and healthy again? You personally.
I mean, we're busy. We have a lot of horses in training, and it's one of those things where we're going to do right by her and do right by all of our horses. And look, when they have setbacks, we don't really get down. It's disappointing, but you know what? We have to make the adjustments, and if that's required, they have a surgery. We try to get it done as quick as we can, get them rehabbed, and get them back into us. And that's the case with all horses, but. As far as, it's been good. I mean, it's great to see her come back around and like I said, everything's very positive with her right now, and we're in a good place. She's in a good spot right now.
And, you mentioned earlier about all these big races and all the money out there and the Saudi race that's coming up and all the money they're poured into that. I guess from a trainer standpoint, I bet owners are asking you about that down the road for any horse that you may have, aren't they? They say, wow, look at this race. I hope we have one that can run in this. Every race seems to get richer than the other one.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's a it's a horse like Owendale. He's a horse that could be a factor in we're hoping that he can be a factor in those races next year. That's something it's nice to have as a 2-turn dirt horse that go a mile and an eighth. I mean, they definitely run for some big money. Obviously with, like I said, I mentioned the Pegasus and the Saudi Cup and Dubai World Cup, but obviously the Breeders' Cup Classic, that's goal one really for the end of the year here in America. And then, it just every month, January, February, March, there's 3 big races that you can hopefully be a part of.
I remember the day when I could just immediately tell you the richest horse of all time. And now with the purse structure, I don't know. You win one race and suddenly you might have moved from like 8th place on the list to number 2 or number 1.
That's exactly right. I remember those days where Cigar and, obviously Skip Away and all those horses made a lot of money, and there was a list, and you can almost go down the list and name 1 through 5 of the richest horses of all time. But now one race can change that really quick.
Yeah, I remember back in those days, like $6 million. They won $6 million in their career. Wow.
Yeah. You could run second in a race and make $6 million almost.
That's what I was going to say. I guess from a trainer's standpoint, the good thing is you can make $6 million for running second in some of these races. Probably the pressure is for any trainer out there, owners saying, hey, let's run this horse in this race. Heck, if we hit the board, we're doing pretty good.
That's exactly right. Pays a lot of bills.
All right, so Owendale getting ready for the Travers. It'll be your first one. He looks great. It's going to be – I agree with you. I think it's the best 3-year-old field since we saw the Kentucky Derby field. And Code Honor and Tacitus will be a couple of those in there going against you. And I guess there's no other way to say it. It's going to be a fun race, an exciting race for us to watch. I hope it is for you as well.
Yeah, like I said, I hope he can come out on top, and it wouldn't be a shock at all. This horse, like I said, he's doing great. We're expecting a big effort out of him, and hopefully he gives it to us.
Hey, Brad, I appreciate your time, and look forward to having you on again, and maybe we can talk more about Owendale and Covfefe and then Monomoy Girl when she gets on the comeback trail. I look forward to that.
Sounds good, Kenny. Good. It was great talking to you as always.
All right, anytime. Thank you. Brad Cox, the talented young trainer. He's got a great 3-year-old colt in Owendale running this weekend. It should be a fun race in the Travers. Kate and Bradar joins us when we come back on the Horse Racing Show.